Hello and welcome to the second training session on email, specifically on Outlook 2010. We're going to cover a few other areas today. We're going to look at the contacts section, create some distribution lists, look at a few other things to do with how we might set up out of office messages, how we look at some rules, some junk emails. I'm going to cover a whole range of things. So last time we basically concentrated on the mail section of Outlook. Okay, we're going to jump over calendar because we'll look at that in personal information management, and we're going to look at contacts. So I've got some fictional contacts created here, and one of the things you've got is different views. So I can look at these different views here. I can have a phone number list. I've only put one phone number in there. So I've got different options of different viewing options. I actually quite like this smaller card one. I think it's quite nice. I want to create a new one. So I'm going to create a new contact, which I think I am, yeah, here it is. So this brings up the new contact dialog box that we're going to fill in. So let's fill in Joe Bloggs. Okay. And where does Joe Bloggs work? He works at Shoe Company. Okay, Shoeco. Now, I personally, so one of the things that's going on here is it says file as, so that's like how it gets displayed to you. I always personally like to have it first name, surname, and it's knowing Joe very well, it's joe.bloggs at shoe.co.uk. That's his email address. And so there's a whole bunch of different information we can put in here. So let's put in an American style phone number. You can add notes. So Joe is a great guy. You can add full addresses. You can choose between a business and home address. All of these drop-down boxes allow you to really drill down to the exact information you want. You can even add a photo if you want to. So we filled in a bit of information there. Generally what you're always going to want is generally a phone number or email address and their name. That's the sort of minimum requirements. You don't have to have both an email address and a phone number, but it's probably best. So quite simple. I'm sure we've all done this many times before. So press save and close. There's just some reminders that have popped up. And now we'll see that the one I've just created for Joe is here. Okay, oops. Is this one here. Okay, now the actual my screen is actually quite compacted just to enable the video recording, but on a slightly bigger screen you would see more information here about them, and I could choose a different card, and here we have Joe's card here. Okay, so that's really good. Very pretty simple stuff though. So the next thing I think we'd like to do is make a distribution list, or as they've been renamed, contact group. Okay, and basically what this is for is any time that you have to send the same, or anytime you're emailing the same group of people often, then the simplest way to do it is, instead of each time you create an email you add every person in, well, what you could do is create a group that's got a bunch of people in, and with one click of a button, which I'll show you how to do in a second, we can send an email to a whole group of people. So let's just have a look. So let's imagine that we've got a few people that we know at the Shoe Company. And so you can put in any name you want here. That can be anything you want. And then, so it really has just two things in a contact group. It has the name of the group, and then it has the email addresses that are inside the group. Okay? So there's two different ways you can add, they're called members of the group. Okay, so I can click on this drop-down box here, and I can either, well, there's actually three ways. I can either add it from Outlook contacts, so I'll do that to start off with. So let's find our Joe. Here he is, and what I need to do is I need to double-click on his name, and then it puts it down here, and I can also add somebody else. Let's add Paul M. And you can see each time I double-click, they get put into this member section. Let's imagine that I don't want Paul. I can delete it, click and delete. I'm going to press OK, and that's going to add Joe here. Okay, but you might want to add somebody who's not already in your address book or in Outlook. And so you can just type in new email contact. So let's put in Fred Bloggs. okay, which is Joe's brother, and he was fred.blogs at shoe.co.uk. And I can just hit OK. Now that's not added the contacts to all of Outlook, but it has put them in this group. Okay, so I'm going to save and close, and then if I go to, so what I'm going to do is go to S on my little rolly wheel here on the right hand side, and here I've got my shoe group. Okay, now if I flick to this phone view, I just want to point out something. So I did a test one earlier on, so here's a test group, and you can tell the difference between an individual contact and a group because of the icon difference. Okay, so this Dan Smith here has a different type of icon to the shoe company that's just above him. Okay, and now what I can do is from here I could forward the contact if I wanted to. But that's not what I want to do. What I want to do is I want to create an email. So I've right-clicked there on the shoe company from my contacts, and I'm going to go to create an email. And what that will do, so I love shoes. Okay. So we write our email here. But if we look up at this distribution, if we look up at the to folder, which has got the distribution list inside it, or group contact, or contact group, I've got to probably get used to calling it that if they've changed the name of it, but let's just say distribution list for the time being. What you've got is a little plus symbol, okay? And so I will click on the plus symbol, and what it will say is you get this warning, and you always get this, which you can turn off. And it basically says, if you press the button once and it shows all the names, it can't then collapse it, so it doesn't show the names, which is fine, because it doesn't really matter to anyone really. But now we can see the individuals that are in the group, okay? The individuals that we're sending this email to. Now, one of the many benefits of doing it this way, excuse me. One of the many benefits of doing it this way is this. Let's imagine that I'm going to send an email, so to the shoes company, and let's imagine that this email is going to have this distribution list that I've created. Let's say it's got 10 contacts inside it. Okay, it's got Fred and Joe. Let's just pretend that we've added another 10 contacts to it. And then I think, well, I want it to go to 9 of the contacts, but I don't want it to go to the 10th one. And that's when it's a good idea to expand the group out, and then you can individually remove a contact that it's going to be sent to. Okay, so if you've got a distribution list created that's got people that you send to, feel free to expand it and remove a name. Now that's not going to remove it in any way from the contact group. If I open shoes back up again, see they're both still in there, but it's just removed it from that one particular email that I was sending. The next thing we're going to look at, so that we've now covered distribution list, the next thing we're going to look at is the idea of file compression, or zipping and unzipping. Now, the best use I've found for zipping and unzipping is this. You can't attach a folder to an email, okay? So if I've got a folder here that's just got one thing inside it. But if I copy it a few times, so now we've got 10 different items here in this folder. By the way, I was just holding down Control C and then hitting Control V to do the shortcut for quick copying there. So we've got 10 different items. If I want to attach all of these items to an email, okay, I'm gonna have to attach them sort of one at a time, and it's going to look a little bit messy inside the email. And I could even have a folder inside here, okay, and I could have half of these things inside this, and this could all be really well organized, all well named, and I really want to pass this folder to somebody in exactly the state it is at the moment, all nicely organized and really well laid out, okay? Now, if I want to do that, then the easiest way to do it, if I'm doing it via email, is to right-click, and this is built into every version of Windows. I can't remember when it started, but almost certainly your computer will have it. I think it's in 98 onwards. So I right-clicked on the file here, and I'm going to choose Send to Compressed in brackets Zipped folder. Okay, it's a very quick action. It's already done there. Now I've also got another program installed, WinRAR, which has all that's done is it's changed the way my file looks. Okay, so now this zip here, okay, so they look the same, you know, well, they're both one folder, but I can attach this zip to the email. Okay, so let's just have a go at creating a new email and attaching it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose a new email. I'm going to send it to my group that I've just created, our shoes company. Okay, I'll just always put a subject in, and then I'm going to attach the file, and I'm going to attach the zip we just created. Okay, and that shows us here on the attached level that we now have. Now let's contrast how easy that was to attach that one with if I wanted to attach the folder. Okay, so if I go to attach files the same way, and I go back to my desktop, for a start, so I just want to attach this, you know, because Hello Files here, the zipped one with those books icon, that's the same as this folder here. So I just double click on it and it opens it. So it's not letting me attach the folder. Now I can click on things one at a time and insert those. Now, to be fair, you can actually do it slightly quicker. You can hold down the Shift key. So I've clicked on one. I'm going to hold down the Shift key, and then I'm going to click on the top one, and that's allowed me to insert another 3. But then what do I have to do? Now I have to come into this file here and insert all of these. Okay, so now you can see that I've got the same information, but it's lost all its folder structure. It's just not as convenient a way, especially for the recipient as well. Okay, so, and again, you can remove attachments just by placing your cursor inside the attached window, just hitting delete here. Okay, so that's great. And then I'm going to hit send. I'm not going to hit send because shoe code doesn't exist. Now I'll just show the procedure for unzipping a file. So I've gone ahead and deleted the folder that was on the desktop. And what you do is you just double click on the file. It will open up, perhaps not in this program because this is an actual program I've downloaded and installed called WinRAR, which is free to do. You get an evaluation copy that works perfectly. But yours will open up if you don't have a program installed in Windows Explorer, which is absolutely fine. And then all you do is the same procedure for however it opens up, and you just take that folder and drag it out. And now, if I close WinRAR, there it is. And the nice thing is, like I said before, is we have all of the structure, everything laid out exactly as we would have wanted it, and hopefully in the easiest possible way to be viewed. One thing I forgot to mention earlier, and I'll just quickly revisit that, is when you're in your contacts, I mean I haven't got many here at all, but if you had a great deal, then you might need to search the contacts. And there's a variety of ways you can do that. You can search in, there's one of 2 dialog boxes here. So if I search for Dan, then any contacts at all that have got Dan in come up. Okay? And we've got a whole, you know, we could choose for only the ones that have has a business phone number. Okay? So I'm using things here to exclude from my search. And what you're noticing is it pre-fills. I mean, we don't really have to worry about it too much, but what it's doing is it's pre-filling in and it's adding certain criteria as we choose from the search tools at the top. So I'm just going to close that search and come out of that. And now we'll go in and have a look at how you can mark some email messages as junk. What I'm noticing is that internet service providers such as Google, or Gmail and Yahoo and things like that, they've got much better at filtering out unwanted emails, spam, unsolicited email. But you still might get some through. It might not necessarily be spam as in you've never asked for it, but you might receive some email, for example, from, you know, I don't know, like Debenhams or something, you know, that you've signed up for at some time, but you no longer care about it, and so now you just want to stop those emails coming through. Okay, and so it's a very simple process to mark something as junk. you can right click on an email, okay, and there's a whole junk section here, and we've got we can block the sender, okay, and if we I don't actually want to do it because I don't want Outlook not to be able to give me an email, but if I was to choose block sender here, and that's that's how we'd like a screenshot set up showing that you know how to block the sender, then you will not ever receive an email from that person again. If you were to accidentally block somebody, you can come into the email options here and add and remove people. In fact, let me just show you. So I'm going to block this sender. Now what I'm going to do, okay, took a minute. So now if I go into my junk email options, one of them has now got, which I want to remove, but under the block senders, it's now got ITM2 training, and that's blocked. Okay, so I'm just going to remove that because I don't want to, and then click apply. Okay, and notice the actual email, the email also vanished when I blocked it. Okay, and it's been moved over here to the junk email folder. And so, just like any other folder, I'm just going to drag that and put it back in my inbox because I obviously didn't want it to be in there. And if I look back in the inbox again, now we've got that email there. So that's great. In Outlook 2010, they've changed the way out of office works. So if I come to File and Info, if your company has the ability to run out of office, then it actually appears here. Okay. And that will only work if you're configured to what's called an Exchange server. And you don't really have to worry about what that actually means so much. It's just a way of managing all your emails across multiple devices. So they all sit on the server. And so if you've got a phone, for example, that can see the same emails, and any replies you send from the phone get synced back, and you can see the replies on any other device. So it's a really nice way of working, and that's where the out of office would appear. Okay, so as that's not here, I'm going to quickly look at a rule. Okay, and let's imagine that any email I get sent from training here, okay, or from Ed, so let's say any email that comes in from Ed, let's imagine I want to automatically forward that to somebody else. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on an email, okay, and I'm going to come down to rules, okay, and I'm going to create a rule. Okay, so, and what you'll see is it's actually pre-filled in quite a bit of things, and I need to just choose what I want it to be. So I want the rule to be, so look, when I get an email from Ed Scott, okay, that's all I want it to do, okay, and then it says do the following: display the new item alert window, play a sound. So I could let's have a listen. Well, it's a bit of a boring sound. I wonder if I can. I wonder if there's any other sounds that are. There we go. So now, I might just leave that as the rule. So now, anytime Ed sends me an email, I will get a different sound being played to me. Okay. I could also have it doing other things. I could have it move to a different folder. So I could choose. I could create a folder. Let's create a new one under my inbox, which I'll call Ed. Okay. So I just clicked on the new folder there, and I'll just create this. It's having a right good think about it. Come on, computer. There we go, good. See, it just needed a little warning. Often helps if you warn a computer. Press OK. So, and I'm going to just say OK. Now, what we can do, so I've just created a rule. And the rule I've created is any emails that I receive from Ed, play that jingle, and then also move them to the Ed folder. And one of the options that you get, or the only option you get once you've created a rule, is you can run this message now on messages in the current folder. Okay, so what this should do, okay, is it should look through my inbox, find any messages from Ed, and move them to that folder. Okay, I'm going to just cross my fingers and press OK. Okay, so it did it. It played the sound. Now it's running the message. It's doing it in inbox. And look at that, it's finding any emails from Ed, and it's automatically, boom, they've all gone. Which is good because I haven't practiced that before, so I was quite pleased that that worked. But that's quite simple. So let me just reiterate what the practice is one more time. You right click on an email and you go down to rules and you just create rule. If I manage rules, that's where I could mess around with that one I've previously made. But I just go to create a rule, okay? And then I choose, so other things you can choose. You can have the subject line contain certain things. So we're sending you our emails on this course. You could have it so they automatically get filed. One of the worrying things, though, is that you don't want things to be filed without you noticing it. Okay? But what will happen is if it's not been read, then over here, where I've just got the cursor where it says Ed, you can see the deleted items has got a 1 next to it. That means there's one unread message in deleted items. Well, you would see that there would be a number next to the folder representing how many unread emails are in that folder. Okay, so that was where you go to it again, and yeah, that is rules, which can be very, very powerful. So that's the end of this session. One thing I'd just like to finish with is at the bottom of all the email screenshots there are 5 questions. And so I'll just give you some hints about what the questions mean. So the first question says, describe the potential of IT to improve your company's internal communications. Let me just actually bring this into the window so that we can all see where I'm reading from. Okay. Hang on a second, I'm just going to line this up a little bit because of the recording. Okay. So, describe the potential of IT to improve your company's internal communications. Okay, so that's any communications to other team members, colleagues, bosses, subordinates, things like that. Okay, and just talk about, so it's how can the use of email and how can the use of the company intranet improve your company's internal communications. Okay, so that's one of the things. The second one is external communications. Okay, so that's to suppliers, anybody that doesn't work for you, customers, anything like that. And it's how it is improved by having a website and by a net meeting. Net meetings refer to the idea of a virtual meeting, business conference call meetings, or using beam your screen technology or something like that. Okay. Then the third one is describe the positive and negative impacts on employees of using email and net meetings. Okay, so there will be some there are some bonuses for using email, but there'll also be some downsides. Okay, and net meetings as well. So think of some negatives there. How email can be effectively use your time. How can it manage your time effectively? Okay, and one of the things I would say here is obviously there's the speed and things of sending email, but there's also like the deeper idea of you can actually choose when you look at your emails. You don't have to look at them, constantly have them open. You can effectively manage your time by scheduling certain times to use or not use your email. And I like the idea of not necessarily looking at the email for the first half an hour I'm at work, because you can come in, you can say, what do I need to achieve today? And you can, without distraction, get through quite a few things. Okay, and then lastly, describe how email can be used to overcome obstacles to effective teamwork. Okay, so you need to think what some obstacles are there. So poor communication is obviously an obstacle to teamwork. If people are shy in communicating, then maybe you can think of some ways that email may work for that. And so think of how it can work to improve team activities. I'm sure you can think of quite a few things. Okay, so what you've got to do is you've got to do all these screenshots here, which there are, how many are there? There's about 15 screenshots, and then answer these 6 questions. There are word limits just to guide you of how much you should write. We don't want any one-word answers, things like that. And if you're struggling in any way, then please get in contact. Thank you very much.